Hello. Alright, let me get this thing all shared real quick. Alright, let's see here. Oh, there's so many bugs. Good Just trying to get this shared real quick. And we'll go ahead and start doing some questions. Alright. Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel Whitfield. I am a candidate for the United States Senate here in Arkansas for 2020. I'm just hanging out right now on the side of the lake, got my lines in the water. I'm going to answer any questions y'all may have regarding politics, policy issues, history, whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm here to answer it. So feel free to ask any questions. Sorry it took a little bit to get it all started, just trying to get all set up. But yeah, I'm just waiting for fishing questions. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, if you want to know my stance on a policy, now's the time to ask. Although, honestly, it really doesn't matter what my personal stance is on policy, because that's not what a representative is supposed to be. A congressman is just an extension of the people's voice. So, whether a vote is coming up on an issue that I believe or don't believe in that issue, it doesn't really matter. On my platform, my constituents are going to have a way where they can vote either by email, phone, text message, mail, on every issue. Before I, as a senator, would cast a vote, my constituents will vote on it first, and I will cast their vote in their names. And I think that's one of our biggest problems with Congress right now, is we don't have these representatives that are casting, votes in our favor and what we want. We have representatives that are so heavily invested in special interest money that it doesn't really matter, what their constituents want. What matters is what the people who put money in their pockets want. We see a lot of this with the Koch brothers, for example. They're one of the wealthiest families in America. If you don't know who the Koch brothers are, it's definitely worth your time to do a little bit of investigation into who they are and who they give money to. Just in 2018 alone, they put over $400 million into candidates' pockets. $400 million they threw into the election season last year. It's crazy. So you ask yourself, why would they put in $400 million to help people get elected? Well, you spend $400 million and then you have the ability to ask these legislators to vote to lower your taxes and raise their constituents' taxes, to repeal, legislation like the estate tax. the estate tax, it only affected estates worth more than $10 million. The estate tax didn't hurt working class Americans. It didn't hurt small business owners. It didn't even hurt, people who own moderate-sized businesses. The estate tax really only affected the ultra wealthy, the billionaire class. 10 million or more, that's a lot of money. But they voted to repeal the estate tax, and that saved the family, just the Koch brothers, it saved them $50 billion. So, again, you ask, why would they put $400 million to get people elected? Because they saved $50 billion by doing it. It's crazy stuff like that. It's when you take the representation out of the legislative branch. It's terrible. And that's the main reason I'm running, is to get money out of politics, because we have to have legislators that are the extension of our voice, not ones that are silencing it. We've got people more worried about how they're going to, fund their next campaign than how are they going to take care of their constituents. And it's a really big issue, and it's an issue that they like to keep under the table and off the media so that we don't talk about it. Because then we start to realize, well, this really is important. Why aren't we talking about this more? Well, because nobody's talking about it. And that just comes from, the mass media, not reporting on things like that. The mass media, it's changed so much just in the last 10, 15, 20 years. 20 years ago, there were like 380 different corporations that owned all the media broadcasting in America: news, radio, newspaper, online media. And today, over the last 20 years, the media is consolidated down to 6 men. There's 6 people who own every media broadcasting company in America. And they're the Washington Post. You know who owns the Washington Post? Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, owns the Washington Post. Do you think the Washington Post is going to report on how money is influencing politics? No, probably not, because it's not in their interest. So that's one reason why I'm running, and it's a very important one. Let's see. Oh, hi, Carol. Get a little bit closer to see if I got any questions coming in. I can sit here and talk all day about policy. Oh, man. Jason, what's up, Jason? So I've got some people watching. Did anyone have questions about policy? You can talk politics, you can talk sport, whatever you guys want. I'm just sitting here by the lake, trying to get some catfish. Let's see. Oh, that doesn't really help. Can't see, that light's too bright. Got my lines in the water. Those little bells right there. I'm just waiting for them to start making some noise. I can get one of those bells to start making some noise and hook myself a nice fish. Hey, Aunt Carol, how are you doing? Oh, yeah, I know there's a lot of crickets. It's quite beautiful out tonight, actually. There's a lot of little bugs, too, but yeah. Let's see. So, while I'm waiting for some questions to come in, I guess I'll talk a little bit about policy, a few different important policies and things that are going on right now. So, first and foremost, one of the most important things on my platform is a single-payer healthcare system, because the way that our healthcare is being run right now is super terrible. Oh, hold on. What procedures can get rid of Citizens United? Oh, man. Yeah, congressmen aren't going to like me, that's for sure. It's going to be a really hard battle for me for, a few different proposals I have. Number one, I think the first thing we need to do to get on track is to outlaw all lobbying to congressmen. We shouldn't have corporations going around calling congressmen, giving them money in exchange for favorable legislation. That's not what the American democracy was for. It's everything against what the founding fathers wanted for us. We've got to get rid of corporate lobbying. corporate lobbying is what keeps us all down. I mean, it goes to so many different ways. You know, the Maryland military-industrial complex. You know, we've got lobbyists from Boeing, Raytheon, Dow Chemical. We've got all of these corporations that profit from war, giving our congressmen millions and millions of dollars in exchange for our congressmen to keep us in war. I mean, that's one of the worst kinds of lobbying that there is. We've got lobbying from the fossil fuel industry. I mean, climate change is it's really important that people start to understand what climate change is. You know, they say global warming, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's so cold. Where's that global warming kind of stuff? And they make jokes out of it. But you know, those people who are making the jokes about climate change and global warming, they're the ones invested in companies like ExxonMobil and Shell and Chevron. They're the people who have a financial interest in this, you know, and our fossil fuel industry succeeding and making money. And again, they lobby. It's a little mayfly. These guys work really good for bass bait. You know, and that's just the military-industrial complex. We've got, you know, lobbyists for all of these different corporations. And we really need to just get rid of lobbying. I have been seeing lately a few people proposing that we, you know, make it illegal for ex-congressmen to become lobbyists. I think that's a great idea too, but again, if you just get rid of lobbying altogether, then it's not necessary because there won't be any lobbyists. We just need to get back to the point where our legislative branch is, you know, working for the people and not for corporations. And that's really important if we're going to take back our democracy. It really is. So, can we enforce tax rates so that tax cuts can't be given out as favors? Well, man, you know, subsidies are also another really big issue. We keep having, you know, like when we bailed out Wall Street, you know, we have these criminals that are ripping off Americans, selling loans out that they know these people can't afford. And then, you know, we had the whole financial crisis happen because of this back in 2008. People lost their homes, their jobs, the recession hit. It was all super terrible. And I mean, we had these big bankers that were getting fined millions and billions of dollars. Did they ever go to jail? No. Did they do probation? No. They're like, oh, you're going to fine me $100 million? Here's $100 million. Have a nice day. I'm going to walk away with the $5 billion I just stole from the people. I mean, you know, we've got to have accountability. With agricultural subsidies, let's see, a few years ago, the agricultural industry, they profited $50 billion, you know. And most of this, by the way, when I say agricultural industry, I'm talking about factory farming, not family farms. So we've got companies, you know, like Tyson, who actually their headquarters is here also, their corporate headquarters. And, you know, these people, they're making $50 billion, and then we go ahead and we take and give them $25 billion in subsidies on top of that after the fact. I don't understand why that's necessary. But that's why Tyson lobbies so much money into Congress. I mean, we definitely got to do with the favors, do with getting rid of all these favors coming in. Can we enforce tax rates so the tax cuts can't be given out as favors? And that's really one of the bigger issues. You know, they always talk about how we need to cut corporate taxes because America has the highest corporate tax rate in the world, 35%, blah, 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 blah. And now we just cut it down to 21%, so good for business. Now, it sounds great and all, but the problem with that is, yes, the standard tax rate is 35%, or was, sorry. But after all the write-offs and, you know, the subsidies and all of that, we have corporations like Walmart who, you know, they're profiting $400 million. They pay like $14 billion in taxes. Walmart paid 1.4% in taxes. 1.4%. Man, how nice would it be to pay 1% in taxes? I don't know about you, but I pay like 20, 30%. That's just, how much we pay in taxes. But we definitely need to enforce taxes, and that's just corporations, you know. Then you get into the billionaire class, and that's a really big issue too. There's an estimated $21 trillion floating around in offshore bank accounts right now. $21 trillion that money we spent this money, working people, we make money, we spend money, that money goes up, and it gets to the top, and then instead of these billionaires paying taxes on it, they use tax loopholes that legislators make possible to send that money to Panama, to Sweden. There's one building, there's a building in Panama, I don't remember the address. I heard politicians talking about it a little bit ago, and I looked into it. And so there's a 3-story building that is the official corporate address of over 300,000 corporations. 300,000 corporations somehow fit into this 3-story building. But by being there, they're allowed to avoid America's tax rate. And, you know, it ends up, we spend all this money gets sent overseas, and it avoids taxation. Now, by avoiding taxation, what it's avoiding is coming back into our economy, into our social programs, you know, to our schools, to our teachers, to our police and fire, rebuilding our infrastructure. You know, Flint, Michigan, they've been drinking poison water for I don't even know how long, and we've known about it as a nation. We've known that they have poison water for, over 5 years now, and they're still drinking poison water. I mean, we have money to go send thousands of people, you know, overseas to the Middle East to fight foreign oil wars, but we can't afford to fix the water in a town in Flint, Michigan. And that's just one town. I know there are a lot of towns where we need to rebuild the infrastructure and, you know, fix especially water contamination, which water contamination is a really big problem here in Arkansas too. Which I can get into that in a little bit if anyone's interested. You know, there have been a lot of research papers done by the University of Arkansas, by independent researchers, about how over 200,000 Arkansans are drinking contaminated water. And we know about it. It's fact. But why aren't we doing anything about it? You know, and it's questions like that that are really important, that we need to start asking ourselves and asking the people around us and make them known. Let's see, do you know about the Paradise Papers? Yes. Yeah, I do know about the Paradise Papers. And, you know, they implemented a lot of Americans. A lot of our highest level government officials were, you know, implemented in like the Panama Papers. In Europe, a lot of people went to jail because of the money that they were laundering. But I haven't heard of anything like an American, you know, going to jail for, you know, avoiding taxation, which is kind of interesting. Let's see. So how can we break up too big to fail banks? So, oh man, how do we break up banks? Well, that's a good question. How do we break up banks? I would leave that to financial experts. We just know it needs to be done, you know. Whenever you go into a city, a large city, New York, San Francisco, Houston, you always look, and the biggest buildings are always banks for some reason. It's all about banks. But yeah, anyways, we do need to break up big banks. There should be no business that's too big to fail, especially when we're spending taxpayer dollars to bail them out, like during the recession. And then, you know, they're not returning any favors. They're having high interest rates. They're charging, you know, the poor. Who gets overdraft fees on their credit cards or on their debit cards? You know, it's the most vulnerable Americans that are getting all of these fees. And, you know, we shouldn't be punishing people for being poor. We should be trying to help get them on their feet, not just digging them deeper in a hole. Let's see here. But yeah, let's see. Man. what are other things that we can talk about? Does anyone have any other questions? I think it means regulating them so the one investment or speculate don't get mixed up. Let's a little bit closer so I can read y'all a little bit better. Yeah, what it comes down to is financial institutions, I know they're there to make money. Everyone's got to make money. Oh, hi, Sherry. Am I a progressive candidate? I would say a lot of my platform is progressive. But at the same time, I mean, I was a registered Republican for most of my life. For 12 years, I was a Republican. I grew up in a very conservative family. There's a lot of military in my family, a lot of law enforcement. And so I understand what it is to be a conservative. And more recently, as I started to learn more about history and to see what was going on around us, I started to become a little less conservative and more progressive. And most of that is due to the corruption. You know, we really need to get our legislators that are more concerned with filling their bank accounts than, you know, what's best for their constituents, what their constituents want and need. You know, we've really got to take care of this issue. A good example, just recently, you know, Arkansas, we're seeing terrible historic flooding right now. We've got, you know, the last 14 days in a row, tornadoes have been touching down all across the U.S. All these big rainstorms have been going through Oklahoma and Missouri, and the Arkansas River is flooding. And down in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and all along the Arkansas River, we have families being displaced. We have people losing everything they have. And something big walking through the woods. It's probably some deer. I hope it's some deer. Oh. I'm kind of far north here. But, so, you know, we've got this historic flooding going on, and our senators and our governor came together and they held a press conference down in Fort Smith the other day. And, you know, I was listening to their press conference, and, you know, they keep talking about business. You know, the river being flooded right now is costing, you know, Arkansas businesses around $26 million a day. That's a lot of money. And, you know, it's a large concern, but I didn't hear them talking about the families that are being affected. I didn't hear them, you know, talking about what they're going to do to relieve the families that are in need. They seemed really proud of their $350,000 that they, you know, got for relief. I'm not sure how much that will help the families down there. But we have representatives that are more concerned with business than the people. And, you know, that's not what a representative is supposed to be. You have to represent business and people. You can't just represent business. Oh man, I knew the abortion question would come up sooner or later. So I have mixed feelings about abortion. I mean, woman's body, woman's choice. I'm not one to tell a woman what she can and cannot do with her body. That's not my job. I don't think legislators should be able to tell a woman what she can or cannot do with her body. At the same time, abortion is not a form of birth control. We definitely, you know, a woman shouldn't be like, oh, I wasn't safe, I screwed up, I'm not ready for a child, and just, you know, have an abortion. It's not what abortion is for. It's called be responsible, not an idiot. And there are a lot of ways we can fix that issue right there. You know, we can give out birth control. No worries, man. But birth control, I mean, they have shots now. You can get a shot as a woman, and you know, you don't have to take a pill every day. Just be responsible. A man, if you're not ready to have a child, wrap it up. It's not, rocket science. It's common sense stuff. If you're a woman and, you're not ready to have a child, make sure he does that, or make sure you're safe yourself. Abortion should not be a form of birth control, most definitely. But at the same time, there are times when abortion is necessary. And there are times when abortion should be a choice. And you have to have that choice. You can't just not have that choice and be like, you're stuck. I mean, everything is circumstantial in this world. We've got Alabama now, who came with really strict abortion rules and laws. Yeah, they are. If a young woman or a child basically is molested by her father or a family member, or is raped by a stranger, if something happens to a young child, she's now forced to carry, she gets pregnant, she's forced to carry that baby. I mean, that's not okay. If you're the victim of a sexual assault, you should have the choice on whether or not you want to have an abortion. When there's no longer 400,000 children up for adoption in America, maybe we can bring this conversation back up and it can go a different way. But there's definitely reasons when abortion should be an option. The Zika virus, it's a terrible illness that, it makes it so when a child is born, they're born with basically a guaranteed short life. There's no medical fix for it. And if there is a medical issue with a child that has no fix, then the mother should have the choice on whether she wants to have an abortion or not. Doctors getting life. So a man rapes a child, goes to jail. A doctor performs an abortion to get rid of that rape baby, and then goes to jail for 10 times longer than the man that raped the child in the first place. I mean, explain that to me. That blows my mind. It's crazy stuff. But again, I mean, it has to be a choice. We can't take that choice away. And again, it should not be used as a form of birth control. There are certain situations and circumstances when a woman might choose to do it, I have a little girl. Her name is Caitlin. She's 6 years old now, and I really couldn't imagine my life without her. She's my everything. Like, between her and my wife, I don't know what I would do without them. And a few years ago, my wife got pregnant again, and we were super excited. And we went to the doctor, and she was pregnant with twins. And, it was really exciting. After a couple weeks, she had some pains in her stomach, and they got really bad. So we went to the doctors and found out that one of the twins was absorbed by the other. I guess it's, the doctor said it's fairly common. It happens. So we lost one, and, we got through it. It was pretty early on when this happened, maybe like 6 weeks in, and we continued through the pregnancy term. And my wife was 35 at the time, and when you're 35 now, it's considered a high-risk pregnancy. So they suggest a harmony test. So my wife did the harmony test, which tests for medical illnesses for the baby, the fetus, and we found out that the remaining twin had tested positive for trisomy 18, which is it's a disease, or it's an extra 18th chromosome. There's nothing you can do to fix it. They say a trisomy 18 baby. The doctors at the time had told us have a 0% chance of survival. So at that point, we were on Medicaid, and because we were on Medicaid and the baby had tested positive for trisomy, the doctors didn't really want to do anything for us. They wouldn't help us with any extra testing. They wouldn't even give us an ultrasound. We had to pay out of pocket for an ultrasound because they only wanted us to have one through the whole pregnancy. And we were hopeful. We tried to do I think it's an embiotic fluid test, where that's a big old bug, where they stuck a big needle in her belly, and the baby definitely tested positive for trisomy 18. And the doctors at that time suggested that we end the pregnancy because it was no longer safe for my wife. My wife is very devout Catholic. She does not believe in abortion at all. She thinks it's very wrong. And she wanted to carry the baby, and we hoped that maybe the twin that was absorbed had the trisomy 18, and that the remaining twin didn't. So the doctors told us that the baby definitely wouldn't make it through a normal birthing. So my wife had volunteered to do a C-section to give the baby the best chance that it had. So we had a priest on hand. It was a nice priest. He came from the St. Stephen's, I think it was, Catholic Church in Rogers. And as soon as the baby was born, he baptized the baby. And we were able to confirm that she did have trisomy 18. And, the doctors, again, they told us that it's 100% fatal. She could only live a day or two. And they convinced us to not put her on any assisted living or anything like that. So we just spent the next 8 hours with her until she slipped away. And that was really hard. Nobody should ever have to do that. Children aren't supposed to die in your arms. But that was our choice. And we decided not to have the abortion. And I wouldn't wish that on anybody else ever, to go through something like that. So if a doctor said that there is a medical reason to abort this child, and somebody decided they wanted to go that route, I wouldn't hold that against them at all. Never. Medicaid expansion of the Affordable Care Act, man. When you get into the Affordable Care Act, there are a lot of things about it that are good, and there are a lot of things about the Affordable Care Act that are bad. Some of the good things for the ACA, it forces insurance companies to cover people with pre-existing conditions. My sister, she's had brain surgeries. She has hydrocephalus, and that's actually how I ended up here in Arkansas. She had one brain surgery in California when she was younger, and she had ended up here in Arkansas, and she was having another brain surgery. It had a fairly high mortality rate, so that was a huge part of the reason my family moved out here, was so we could be with her before that surgery. And she would have never been able to have that surgery that saved her life without the Affordable Care Act, because no insurance provider would have, insured her for that because she had a pre-existing condition. So the Affordable Care Act literally saved my sister's life. I mean, there are good things about it. Now, the bad things about it are Obama was owned by health and pharmaceutical companies. They gave him tons of money, and in exchange, he gave them the ACA. And the ACA allowed, these pharmaceutical companies to charge whatever prices they wanted for drugs. That was the start of what Trump has finished with the pharmaceutical companies. That's why we're paying $500 for a drug people across the border are paying $8 for. It's ridiculous. Another terrible thing about the Affordable Care Act was punishing people for not having health insurance. People that don't have health insurance, it's not because they just don't want to have health insurance. It's because they probably can't afford health insurance. And to go and take money out of their tax returns to punish them for not being able to afford health insurance is just insane. It's a double-edged dagger. What is the point of that? And, so there are good and bad with the Affordable Care Act. What we really need is Medicare for all. We need a single-payer system that puts people above profits. I mean, the pharmaceutical company made $69 billion in profit last year. $69 billion. That's insane. I mean, well, something walking through the woods again. But I mean, that's so much money. And I mean, okay, that's cool. Make your money, whatever. As long as it's not hurting the people. But when people can't afford their prescription drugs that they depend upon for their life, I mean, life or death drugs, and they can't afford it because this pharmaceutical company wants to make $69 billion a year instead of $30 billion a year, I mean, are you kidding me? Bernie Sanders is trying to cut health costs by 50%, which I think is great. But I think we almost need to go further than that. I mean, how about we pay 10 times, what other nations are paying for the same drugs we're paying for, rather than 100 times, It's a start, and we can get moving on it. And we do need Medicare for all. We really do. And a lot of people just don't understand what Medicare for all is and how much it costs and how we're going to pay for it. The media really screwed Bernie on this. I mean, I remember when he was doing an interview, I believe for CNN, they were asking him about Medicare for all. And man, I'm not even getting a bite. I'm going to have to take a break here in a minute and rebait my lines. Make sure there's still some liver on there. And, he was trying to explain how we're going to pay for Medicare for all. He said, we're going to remove premiums, remove copays, and remove prescription drug prices, and then we're going to add a health tax to replace that. And you know what the headlines of those articles were the next day? Bernie Sanders wants to add a health tax. That's it. They didn't explain what our Medicare for all is going to do. We're going to get rid of insurance premiums. We're going to get rid of copays. We're going to get rid of prescription drug costs. And we're going to charge people $2,500 a year health tax. It's a lot of money. But now think about it. I know my wife was trying to get these numbers straight with me earlier. So, I mean, we were paying somewhere around $700 a month last year for our health insurance. $700 a month for my wife, myself, and our daughter through our job at a large corporation. And on top of our $700 a month, we had a $3,500 deductible. on top of our $3,500 deductible. If I had a prescription, I would have to spend, whatever price on these prescriptions. I had to spend $12,000 last year on medical before my insurance helped me. Would I be willing to pay $2,500 a month or a year for a health tax? Yeah, please save me $10,000 a year. That would be great. I mean, and a lot of people, it's the same. Right now, our medical system, Medicaid is a great program. It helps people in need who need medical care that can't afford it. It can have long wait times. When we were on Medicaid a while ago, my daughter needed to see a dentist. To see a dentist through AR Kids, I think it took 3 months to get that scheduled. Now that we're paying our $700 a month for our insurance, when she needed to see a dentist, I made the call. They're like, sure, can you be here in 2 hours? So Medicaid does have its downs, but it helps people that can't afford insurance. Rich people, if you're like super rich, it doesn't even matter. I mean, okay, you need to go have a surgery, $10, $20, $30, $40,000, whatever. I'm just going to pay it cash and it's done. Not a big deal. Not even, whatever. But it's the working class families that are really suffering from this medical fiasco we have going on. It's the working class families that are paying for their health insurance, paying these high copays. Those are the ones that suffer, and they're the backbone of America. They're the ones holding our country together, is the working class. It's not the billionaires. If we got rid of every billionaire tomorrow, I'm pretty sure America would keep running. We'd figure things out, But without the working class, there is no America. There's no American dream. There's no billionaires. I think billionaires forget a lot of the time they're billionaires because we make them billionaires, because we spend money and that money goes to them. And we really need to find a way to remind them of that, because, man, that's just, last September, it was like September 21st last year, I got my first ear infection. I had never had an ear infection before. I didn't really know what was going on. I just had a lot of pain in the side of my head, and then it sounded like, like everyone talking, like it was coming through water, like I was underwater. And I'm like, okay, we haven't met our deductible yet. I can't really afford to go see a doctor right now. I had just taken my daughter to a doctor for her first UTI, and, it was like $130 out of pocket for that. And I'm like, I'll just wait. It'll go away. I'll be okay. So I waited a week, and the pain got so bad I had to go see a doctor. So I went to Mercy over by my school clinic, and I saw a doctor. The first thing they did, I got there, they made me fill out paperwork. They had me call some number and pay them. Before they even looked at my ear, they're like, okay, now we're going to charge you right now. So I gave them money, and then I saw a doctor. She looked at my ear. She's like, oh yeah, it looks like an ear infection. So she gave me antibiotics and sent me on my way. So I took the antibiotics and the pain went away, but my hearing never came back, and ringing started. So then I went and I had to see another doctor, because I called the local ears, nose, and throat doctors, and none of them would see me without a recommendation. So I go to some other doctor, and I'm like, hey, I need to see an ENT. He looks at my ear and says, oh yeah, there's definitely something wrong. Here you go. There goes another $130. So then I see an ENT, and he looks at my ear, and he's like, man, I don't even want to get into all that. It ended up costing me thousands of dollars to find out that there was nothing they could do about my ear. So since September of last year, I have ringing in my ear, and I've lost about 20% of my hearing. The ENT I used, he looked in my ear, and he said, it's just nothing we can do. It just happens. Bad luck. Yeah, he actually said bad luck. And, after some time, I was really worried about having this issue for the rest of my life. I saw another ENT and paid them a bunch of money and did another hearing test. And this ENT was a little more helpful. He was able to find out that my eardrum no longer recognizes any frequency above 1,000 megahertz, and that's the ringing I hear is my brain making up for that sound I can't hear. Yeah, it's 193 to see the doctor, 400 to see the ENT. That's $555. Then they charged me like $175 for a hearing test, and I mean, just thing after thing. But hey, at least when I did see that first ENT, he looked in my throat and in my nose. He's like, "Oh, did you know you have a deviated septum? Let's pull your tonsils out." So I gave him a whole bunch of money. He didn't help my ear, but he got surgeries and made money out of me. That's for sure. They're really good at doing that. But I mean, the whole healthcare system, we really need to fix this, you know. Other countries, other over-the-counters for tinnitus that work. I have no idea. I looked into it. Everything I hear is people say just get used to it, tune it out, play music in the background kind of stuff. But I mean, it's just something I've been dealing with for almost a year, and I'll continue to deal with it. But if we had Medicare for all when that happened, even though I was paying $700 a month for my insurance premiums, I would have been able to be like, oh, there's something wrong with my ear. It hurts. I'm going to go see a doctor. Okay, it's better. No permanent hearing damage. I mean, just common sense stuff. Would I pay $2,500 a year for medical coverage? Yes, most definitely. They can, yeah. But yeah, we definitely need to get to a Medicare for all system, and we need to do something about this for-profit health complex that has gotten to the point where, you know, people aren't the priority. It's almost like, you know, doctors have gone against their, the hypocritical oath or whatever they do. Oh, come here, little bug. It's a roly-poly. My daughter loves these things. Yeah, definitely. So Medicare for all. We need to do that. Oh, no worries. Thank you for the questions, David. I think you're really the only one who's been asking questions. I appreciate it. And if anyone has any questions, you know, just feel free to ask. I'm trying to read up, make sure I didn't miss anything. And actually, while you guys are asking questions, I'm going to go ahead and get my lines rebaited. It's been a little while, and I'm not getting any bites or anything. I need to make sure I still got some liver on there. All right. There you guys can see a little bit. Oh, that's a big old mayfly right there. Oh, you don't want me to grab him. That's bass bait right there. Yep, no merit bait on this guy. So, show you guys a trick to how I catch catfish right here. This is money. If I can get this thing to stand up anyways. Alright. Got my treble hook. So I've got some stink bait here. I just cut it in half. I'm gonna go ahead and make it into like a Oh, it's like a little pancake right here. Flatten it out. I'm just gonna slide it right through my treble. Let's see here. Oh, see, just right through that treble hook there. Bolt real good. Alright. A little bit of this chicken liver. Oh yeah. You really don't need too much liver, just a little bit. Haha. So, I just use a sliding sinker here attached to a steel lead. My steel lead, I've got a little clasp and swivel here. Then I can just take my swivel, slide it through, boom, just like that. Just got closed up. Yeah, that's the best way to fish. You got some stink bait on the bottom, liver on top. Get this guy back in the water. A little more to the left this time. It's actually the first time I've been out fishing this year, so I hadn't really been to the lake much. Well, I went out a couple nights ago just to take a look and, you know, make sure I had everything I needed. But the lake's about 2 feet lower right now than it usually is. So I'm not sure exactly where the fish are. Usually they're just right out there, but I'm going to try out here and the other way a little bit too. There ain't no bait on this line either. So there are definitely fish out there eating my bait. I'm just more concerned with chatting than getting rebaited. So let me get this one done. And then I'll go ahead and get my last line baited up. Then I'll get back to answering some of your guys' questions. So if y'all want to ask some questions right now, I can answer those as soon as I'm done. Give me a little... there we go. Get the sinker sliding. Nice. Right. Pancakes and stink bait. Put that on there. Some liver. That's a good nasty one. Too gooey. There we go. Oh yeah. That's, oh, this one's a little too gooey too, actually. Try down the bottom. catch me a fish. Good piece of liver. There we go. Alright, that's a good one. Not too gooey. You want a gooey, but not too gooey. Otherwise it just comes right off and you make it to the water. Well, it makes the water just not on the line. Alright. This guy out there. Okay. Alright. Last one. Here, let me show you guys how cool this is right here. So, this is my spring-loaded hook setter right here. So I'll show you what happens. So you cast the line out, then you take your line and you thread it onto this little trigger. And when a fish bites it, oh, it sets the hook. How cool is that? Oh. I got my bait off this one too. Just eating all my bait tonight. Ugh, it's okay though. That means they're out there. They're just waiting. But yeah, I love this thing. This thing's awesome. Spring-loaded hook setter. More spring bait over here. There we go. Pancaked out. Whew, that stinks. It's old. I've had that stink bait for like, I don't know, lasts a long time, at least a year. Lasts a lot longer when you cut it in half like that. Fatty. Come on, give me a winner. There we go. Yeah. Nope, too fatty. Breaking it up. Man, I usually have my fillet knife, but I can't find it since I moved, so it doesn't cut as well. Get on up here. So for whatever reason, Walmart decided to stop selling chicken liver. At least up here in the Missouri Walmart. And yeah, so I had to buy this one in Bentonville yesterday. And froze it overnight and let it thaw out this morning. So it's all just kind of gooey. It's not like getting that fresh liver from Walmart. Okay. Get in there. All right. See that? It's ready to go. Oh, I guess you can't really see. No light. All right, before I get this casket, let's go get some of this stuff off my hands. Man, not even a bite yet for you guys. Hopefully we'll get one here soon now I'm rebaited. I did get here a little bit early. Usually they don't bite till 10, 11 anyway. Perfect. That's actually right where I wanted it. Alright. My guy's on the trigger. Alright. Just waiting for one of those bells to move now. Get back over here. Answer some more questions for y'all. See if I got anything. Alright. Back to the waiting game. Let's see here. No more questions. Alright, well. Okay. Talk about more policy on my platform then. Okay, so let's see. So another really important thing that people have been talking about is, oh yeah, no, two, huh? No, I can't get bites on both my lines at the same time. You guys see the action. Oh, I heard him jump over there. Oh, just messing with this one again right there. Just want that bell to come right up to the top. Get this hook all set and pull him in. Almost. Come on, guy. He's just kind of biting it and spitting it back out right now. But what we want for him to bite it and take it. He'll bite it and take it. Get a nice tug. That's what they do out here. They'll grab it. They'll just kind of grab it and spit it out. Grab it and spit it out. And they're gonna go around and swim for a little bit and come back to it. Well, he's still playing with it. I see it just move a little bit. Oh, he's just tapping it. Come on, don't tap it, just grab it. One more good one, come on. Aha, I got him. Oh, right. Woo-hoo. Little guy, little mud cat, okay? There you go, oh, nice. There we go. Aha! Great success. You see him right here? Okay, he's actually a pretty decent size little flathead. Got a nice big belly. He's a fat one. Sweet. Set on your lip. Oh, looks like you've been hooked before. They didn't get you though. But I got you. Nice. That's good eating right there. Oh, look at that. Came off my hook. You on my stringer. Oh yeah. About 2-3 more of them, I'll have a meal right here. Oh yeah. Come on, hurry up, I'll get you back in the water. All right. Awesome. There we go. This guy right here. Heck yeah. These guys have really soft meat. It's almost like cotton. It's really good. He's about the perfect size too. You don't want to get them when they're too big, because then their meat doesn't taste very well. Oh yeah. What's up, buddy? Let's get you comfortable in the water. All right. I have to check that line because there was something biting it at the same time, but I didn't have a chance to set that hook, so he probably got it off of there. All right. Questions and catfish. Can't really beat that, huh? Sweet. Oh, and I have to try to find some more good liver. I knew that was a good piece. That was a winner right there. So I used to live in Reno for quite a while. I was a security officer over at the Peppermill Casino Resort and Spa. And my first paycheck, I decided to go gambling because I'd never been gambling before. And and I did so well. I made like $1,500. I couldn't believe it. I was hooked instantly. They know exactly how to get you hooked. Make you win a lot of money, get you hooked, and then never let you win again. It's a great scam they got going on over there. So I made all this money, and I went with my grandfather out to the fishing shop because we were going trout fishing. And I picked up this fishing rod. Got a nice big long fishing rod. Spent a little bit of money on it. And I love this thing right here. It's my big ugly stick. And I was fishing, and it snapped right in the middle. And I was super disappointed. So I took some steel bars and I zip tied steel bars to it. Put some electrical tape on there real good. So now I got my steel reinforced fishing rod. It works pretty good though. I've never lost a fish on it. Alright, let's put this guy back in the water. So we can get another one or two of those guys. I can have myself a nice meal. Alright. That was a little mud cat. He's a little flathead. What I really would like to get, I get blue cats out here. It's what I normally like, what I'm fishing for. But you can get some pretty good sized blue cats out here. I saw on the Bella Vista website, someone had caught like a 60-pound blue cat a couple months ago out of this lake. 60 pounds. It's too big to eat or anything, but it'd still be fun to catch and let go. Alright. That's another winning piece of liver right there. Fires go. This guy back in the water. Oh, I love this spot. I stand on this table. I'm king of that lake. Oh. Alright. See if I can put this back around that same spot. Nice. Pretty close to that exact same spot. I'll take it. This one seems to be moving a little bit still. I'm gonna take a look at him, see what's going on with it. Out of there. Man, I miss my buddy Dan. Me and him, we'd be out here all night. It'd be like this till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Miss my fishing buddy. Oh yeah, it feels like there's nothing on there. Yeah, we got this bait too. Yeah, feel free guys, ask some questions and I'll answer. Once I get these lines back in the water, settle down. Otherwise, I'm just going to get back into that boring policy chat. A lot of frogs out tonight. There we go. It's kind of small. Should be enough. Man, I love it out here though. It's so peaceful. It's got the crickets, the frogs. Once in a while, there's a large pack of coyotes over here. You can listen to them howl and run around. You know, make a kill, get to listen to go crazy. Back over this way. Obviously, there's something out over there. We're good. Man, I really want to check this one out too, but I'll get back to your questions. Got any new questions on here? Oh, no, I don't. Good. This one all checked out. It's good. So yeah, now you see, just watching those two little bells right there. I don't gotta watch this one, that's why I like this. Hook set in one. That way I can keep an eye on these two bells. And this guy, you'll know when he gets one. He'll make a lot of noise, pop it up. All right. Just trying to keep it on the bell so you guys can stay interested and watch for me too. All right. Hey, at least I got one tonight. Hope for more, but at least I got one. Okay. Man, what are some other current issues going on? I could talk bad about Tom Cotton all day. I don't really want to do that tonight, because everyone knows how bad he is. I mean, anything I say, most people have probably heard. I guess the one thing I'll say about him, it's not really bad or anything. It's not really slander, but the one thing that concerns me about Mr. Cotton is in 2014, he received $8.4 million from the Koch brothers. And since then, he's voted on legislation that cut taxes for them, saved them $50 billion. You know, I mean, that's pretty crazy stuff. You know, he's trying to push a war with Iran. He's taking money to do that from special interest groups. You know, he's taking money from the communications industry. He actually passed legislation that allows Cox Communications, our local cable provider here, to mine to collect all of your internet data. And they take this collected data and they sell it to third-party advertisers. So our ISP is looking at everything we do, recording it, and selling it to people for money. Easy way to witness this for yourself is if you're ever at home on your Wi-Fi, on your laptop, go ahead and just Google something, start doing some shopping. Google cruise to Alaska. You know, go into a couple cruise to Alaska websites and then turn off that computer, hop on your iPhone and look at Facebook, and by golly, the first thing you're going to see is cruise to Alaska ads. Oh, hold on, what's this? Oh, there we go. But yeah, we need to do something about the communications industry. It's no good. We used to have antitrust laws in place, or monopoly laws, to protect people from corporations getting too big. And, you know, we saw that with Standard Oil. And so in the 30s, they enacted these antitrust laws. Trust is a monopoly. And they broke Standard Oil up into 11 different companies. It wasn't one large corporation anymore. It was 11 smaller corporations. And actually, over the years, all of those 11 corporations have been bought back by the same person, and you know them now as ExxonMobil. So, you know, that's just fossil fuel trash. But where that's really relevant now is our communications industry is doing the same. AT&T, Cox, Charter, Optimum, Time Warner Cable, Comcast. What they'll do is they'll have, you know, these backers, like they'll have Charter purchase, no, actually I think it was Comcast. They'll have Comcast purchase Time Warner Cable, leave Time Warner Cable, Time Warner, and Comcast, so they're now owned by the same person, but it's two different companies. And then you'll start to see their prices will go up at the same time as they price fix themselves. We need to protect consumers from things like that. it's a really big issue that nobody really talks about. But I was a cable guy for 5 years. I've worked for several different cable companies as a contractor, a traveling contractor, and that's something that I noticed. It would blow my mind how I can have customer A living at 1 Easy Street, and they have equipment. They have a cable box, internet, and phone, and they're paying $180 a month. And then you have number 2 Easy Street with cable box, internet, and phone, exact same equipment, paying $70 a month. Crazy stuff. They call it promotions, and they'll put promotions on your account, give you a bunch of free stuff, and then it goes up after like 12 months. And you get that one bill, you're like, why is my bill $300? Well, your promotion's ended, so you got to call them and fight, and you'll have to pay that $300, but they'll put the promotions back on after that. Crazy stuff. Alright, now I'm just waiting for another catfish. Let's see what time it is. Oh, it's about 10:46. Yeah, about 11 o'clock is when they really start to bite. That's why I just got that one. Give them a couple minutes. Let's see. Oh, there goes my phone. Do I have any questions on here? No more questions. That's okay. As long as I'm catching catfish, that's what matters. Come on, fish. Look over here. Oh, I guess I'll move the flashlight. I can't really see the bells. There we go. Any questions, anybody? Mr. Jeff, how's it going? Yeah, we just got one catfish not too long ago, just waiting for another one. I'd love some questions to pass the time. Just waiting for these two bells to jump up a little bit. Questions about policy. Let's see. So running it as an independent is kind of hard. I guess I can explain why I'm running as an independent, fighting this tough battle as a grassroots movement. So political parties were created to control the flow of government by helping candidates get elected. Surprise yourself. Go on Google and Google the definition of political party. Blow your mind. And, I don't believe that's what our legislative branch should be. I don't think it should be a group of people that had assistance in getting elected to help control the flow of government. That's not what I think the government is. I think the government is what our founding fathers wanted the government to be when they wrote the Constitution. I think our government is supposed to be by the people, for the people, period. It shouldn't be by the people, for billionaires. And if I were to run as a Republican, I was a registered Republican for 12 years, for most of my life, until 2015. If I was to run as a Republican, I would have to run in the Republican primaries against Mr. Cotton. I don't know if I would be able to sway enough of the conservative voters to beat him in the primary and have a chance at the general. And my platform follows, it has a lot of both conservative and liberal, stance. I kind of find myself more in the middle than leaning too much to the left or too much to the right. And if I was to run as a Democrat, I would have to run in the Democratic primaries against Josh Mahoney. I'm not really sure too much of his policy stance. It's hard to find much about him online. I mean, I've heard he's a great guy. I know he's a nice guy and everything. He actually ran last year in 2018 against Steve Womack for the District 3 Congress, and he lost pretty significantly to Womack. So I am concerned that if he can't beat Steve Womack, how is he going to beat Tom Cotton? But if I was to run as a Democrat, then I don't think I would be, the Democrats are going to push Mahoney. He's the guy they decided to support. So I don't know if I would be able to beat him in the primaries. But if I run as an independent and I fight this uphill battle and I get all my signatures, it requires 10,000 signatures to be an independent and get on the ballot. And, that's 10,000 approved signatures. So realistically, I need to get like 15 or 20,000 signatures and expect half of them to get thrown out. Well, if I can get on the ballot, I think I'll be able to get enough of the conservative and Republican vote from Cotton. I find it's really easy for me to sway his voters because I understand how they feel and what they want. And I think I can get quite a bit of the Republican vote. And I also believe I can get a lot of the Democrat vote because, I understand I understand both sides, man. The issues we're facing today, they're not partisan issues. These issues are crossing party lines. Our issues are corruption in the government. Our issues are the fact that 91% of all candidates that have more campaign finances get elected. So 91% of the time, the person who has more money is going to be your representative. Fact. More than 50% of congressmen are millionaires before they even run. Fact. Crazy stuff. So I really want to give Arkansans their voices back. I want to be by the people, for the people. I want Arkansans to be able to see this piece of legislation that's about to be voted on, and I want them to be like, oh, this is how I think it should be voted on, and I want to take that collectively and cast that vote in the Senate for the people. I don't want to be a trustee representative, someone who thinks they knows what's best. I want to do what the people think is best for them, because that's what our government is supposed to be, by the people. But that's why I'm running as an independent, to give Arkansans their voices back without the constrictive party. Some mayflies, lots of mayflies. Man, anyone have any questions at all about policy? We can talk about history, ecology, plants. Talk about all sorts of stuff. What I really want to talk about is watching this bell go up and get me another catfish. Because the positive thing about only having one catfish at the end of the night is I only got to clean one catfish. But I wouldn't mind staying up a little later to clean a few. I think I'll probably give those lines about 5-10 more minutes before I check the bait and rebait them again. Because it seems like once I got it baited and put it in the right spot, that fish took it pretty quick. But then at the same time, I've sat out here for like 5-6 hours where I leave a line in the water for an hour or two and boom, out of nowhere, just there it goes, big fish. So it's hard to say. Just patience is a virtue. I guess some other things that I've thought of that I can share with y'all. So there are a few proposals that I would like to make to Congress. Let's see, the first one would be to outlaw lobbying. Period. Plain and simple. We should not be able to sway a legislator's vote due to financial interest. I think that would help end all of our for-profit wars. That would end our for-profit prison industrial complex, or our prison, private prison system. That would help end a lot of issues that we're facing today just by removing lobbying altogether. When a citizen, when a person enlists into the military, they give up certain rights. And I think when a person enlists to be a candidate for an elected public position, they should also give up certain rights. I think anyone running for public office should give up the right to financial privacy. Plain and simple. Your constituents, anyone, should be able to go online, look at your bank accounts, see how much money you have, where it's coming, where it's going, and if you don't like it because you're doing something that may be unethical or it's something that you want to hide, don't run for public office, because those aren't the kind of people that we want representing us. I mean, it's pretty simple. I think we should give up that right to financial privacy. I also think all elected officials should give up the right to the Fifth Amendment, to self-incrimination. If you're a criminal, don't run for public office. If you're going to run for public office, commit crimes for your own personal self-interest while being a representative, then you should not have the right to not incriminate yourself. We need to start holding these criminals accountable for the crimes that they're committing. Let's see. Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Cortez recently introduced legislation to cap credit card interest rates at 15%. I think that's awesome. That's a great idea. I don't understand why these credit card companies are charging up to 30% interest, as long as you're making all of your payments and you're being a good consumer, a good part of society, you shouldn't be punished with 30% interest rates. I even think 15% is too high. I think 10% is a good amount of money. Did you know Macy's made 35% of Macy's profits last year came from their credit card interest? 35% of Macy's profit just from credit card interest. I mean, it's sick. It's not okay at all. That's just preying on people. We need to do something about that. I think 10% is a much better place to start. And on that line, I was also thinking for housing loans, for mortgages, our mortgage rates, they've been pretty low compared to what they had been, like 7-8%, but now they were closer to like 3.5%, which is, a little bit better, but would it be so absurd to cap a mortgage interest rate at like 1%? Think about your house. You buy a house. We'll say, anyone watching that bell? I see it's moving a little bit. I don't know if it's the wind. But so you say you buy a $100,000 house. So now you got a house for $100,000. Now you got a 30-year mortgage on it. So over the next 30 years, you're not paying that mortgage company $100,000. You're actually paying them more like $300,000 for your $100,000 house. Yeah, 1.5. That's still pretty good too, So now you pay $300,000 for your house, and now, okay, I've been here for 30 years. I'm older. I'm ready to sell my house. So now you're going to sell your house. Now someone else is going to buy it for, we'll say over 30 years, probably more like $200,000 if your value goes up a lot. So now you're going to sell your house for $200,000 when you've already paid $300,000 for it because of the interest. And now the bank is going to get like $500,000, $600,000 more over the next 30 years from that poor person who bought it. I think that's not okay, and we need to do something about housing interest rates. If we lower the interest rate down to like 1.5%, 2%, then not only would our mortgages go down, you wouldn't be paying, $900 for a $100,000 house for your mortgage. Because, realistically, for the first few years, you're only paying like $200, and like $700 of that is going to interest, $200 to the principal. It's crazy. But now your mortgage is going to go from like $900 down to like $600. And so now you're saving more money on your mortgage, spending more money in other, places. And if with the house, now the mortgage is less. Now if you rent out your house, you only have to charge, smaller amounts for rent. So housing prices will stay the same, but the interest will go down, so your mortgage payment will go down, and then rent will start to go down too. Yeah, the banks aren't going to make a couple $100 billion in profit, but okay, part of being society. It's crazy. But yeah, that's something that I had been trying to think into. And I think Bernie and AOC are on the right track with that credit card interest rate. Interest destroys Americans' lives. It just preys on the most vulnerable of us. We really need to do something about that. We shouldn't be preying on the most vulnerable. A nation is only as good as the poorest people in it. It's crazy. I'm still waiting for one of these bells to bounce. Probably getting all sorts of little bites when I'm not looking. Let's see. What about employee taxes? So, taxation was created as a punishment. Back in ancient times, the people who got taxed were people who did crimes. And if you did something that society didn't approve of, they would tax you for it. And that's who paid taxes. So how did historically taxes being a punishment go to taxing everyone for everything? That's something we need to look into. I think a good place to start would be removing taxes from tips. So why is it when someone's working a position, a tipping position, their employer can pay them under minimum wage? There are servers that make like $2 an hour. I have 2 jobs. I work 7 days a week. I work at JB Hunt during the week as a quality engineer intern, and I work at Domino's Saturdays, Sundays delivering pizzas. So while I'm at Domino's on the road driving, they pay me like $5.50 an hour or something like that. $5 an hour. How crazy is that? Not even minimum wage, because they expect us to get tips. We don't always get tips, that's for sure. I would say where I live here up in Bella Vista, Arkansas, depending on the times, the worst times, of course, are like December, January, February, Christmas, and right after and such. You can go like 30 to 40, sometimes 50% rate of not getting a tip. So you can't. So if I go and I get like 3 no tips in a row, I'm working for $5 for an hour. And I don't think that should be okay. I think, if you want to do that, let's start. Number one, every position should be minimum wage. Waiters, waitresses, delivery drivers, they shouldn't be allowed to pay you $2 to $5 an hour. I don't think that's okay. And you know what? If they're going to, at least don't tax us on tips. How terrible would it be if they didn't tax us on tips? Is that a crazy idea? I don't know. Only like 3% of Americans make their income on tips, and they're the poorest, we're the poorest Americans, the ones getting paid on tips. It's not like we're making $100,000 a year getting tips. It's not like we're making $50,000 a year getting tips. It's super crazy, but they'll tax us like 35% on tips. So because of that, I declare my tips, but not everybody does. A lot of people don't declare tips because they don't want to get that tax on them. If we were to remove taxes from tips, people started declaring all of their tips, watch our GDP go up. Plain and simple. GDP would go up if we didn't tax tips because more people would claim them. Little things. It's not like a crazy idea, It's a way that we could help the lowest income of our citizens, just get rid of tip taxes. It's not crazy. Oh, what's up, sister? Yeah, a few years ago, a bunch of crazy ideas, socialist ideas were coming out, and they're all like, this is a crazy idea. And now you look at all of these candidates running for president, and, a huge majority of them are supporting these crazy ideas now. They're starting to catch. People are starting to wake up and see what's going on. It's pretty crazy. Let's see. Yeah, I shouldn't have to pay taxes on tips. That's just extra money hand to hand for thank you for doing your job, All right, fish. I'm ready to catch another catfish. It's time. Come on. Man. What else could I talk about? Let's see. So here, my sister, Karen Lobato, love you, sis. She lives in Oregon, the state of Oregon. They have recreational marijuana legal in the state of Oregon. So because marijuana is legal in the state of Oregon, that allows children to ride the bus to school for free. They get school supplies for free. They get school books for free. If a child in the state of Oregon joins band and wants to learn to play an instrument, they get instrument rentals for free. The state of Colorado legalized recreational marijuana. in the state of Colorado, they have received such a huge surplus in tax money that they even started building, let's see, free health clinic for students and immediate family. Oh my gosh. In Colorado, they use marijuana taxes to build homeless shelters. I mean, there's such a huge market for marijuana nowadays, and whether or not it's legal, there's still a black market for it. People are still buying weed all around the world, even though it's illegal in most of it. And by doing this, they're supporting drug cartels. They are supporting, drug dealers. They're putting people in positions where, it may not be a bad person that's buying drugs, but they have to deal with a drug dealer who could be a bad person, who maybe they want to go meet a drug dealer to get some weed, and now they're dealing with someone who sells weapons, crazy stuff. We shouldn't be putting citizens in that position. I think that we should legalize marijuana, tax the crap out of it, and use that money to better our social programs in our lives. That's my opinion. Oh, I'm getting a bite right here. All right, take it. It's just kind of playing with it right now. I need to let it go up and hit that top. He's just biting it and spitting it out, biting it and spitting out. But once that bell comes up, he gets got in his mouth, and then I pull my rod, set that hook. Come on. Come on, there you go. He's just going to play with it for a little bit. That's what they'll do. They'll come, they'll play with it, they'll bite it, spit it out, bite it, spit it out. He's just going to swim around. He knows where it is, though. He'll come back to it. He will come back to it. Got all excited there for a second. Thought I was about to get another one. But yeah, as I said earlier, it really doesn't even matter what I think with policy and such. I mean, that's just my opinion. Everyone's entitled to them. In the long run, if legislation came up and needed to be voted on, I would give all of the constituents, every Arkansan would have their voice in it. Every Arkansan would be able to either go online, call in, mail in, text, voice what they want to happen for that legislation, and the people would vote on it, and then I would cast their vote. Doesn't matter what I think. I'm not a trustee. I'm a delegate. It's not my job to say what I think is best. It's my job to listen to the people and put what they think is best into vote. And actually, and while I'm talking about that, not only when marijuana becomes legal, Illinois voted yesterday. Illinois just legalized marijuana recreationally. But what they did on top of it was they actually pardoned... Oh, my battery's still on. They pardoned all possession crimes for people in jail and who had, if some kid had a gram of weed on them when they're 18, get arrested with it, and now it follows you for life. All your employers can see it. You lose out on jobs. It expunged all of those records. So not only when it's time to legalize it federally, it'll be time to pardon those people who are in prison. See a lot of memes, a lot of hear a lot of points where, there are people who've been in jail for 5 years because they got caught with less than an ounce of weed. Now the marijuana is legal in their state, and they're still in jail because they had less than an ounce of weed 5 years ago. That's not okay, and if a state decides to legalize it, I think they should also pardon all past charges for possession, of course with stipulation, under certain amounts, not distribution, just small possession amounts. It's not like these people are violent offenders, like they're, bad for society. Most of them are just dumb kids, made a mistake. Some of them even wrong place, wrong time. Life is ruined for it. Alright, fish. You found the bait. You've been swimming around. It's time to grab that bait back up. I've actually got a lot of battery left too. I've got all my spare batteries here. It's about 11:17. I may even keep this live stream going until 1 or 2 if I'm still having fun. It's Saturday night and I have work until 5 tomorrow night, so maybe I can get some late night person to hop on and give me some questions. Oh, hold on, my wife's texting me. Let me check these texts. Okay, there we go. Come on, fish. Got like a whole collection of mayflies over here. I don't know if you can see them through the bright light. But man, they like that light. What's up, little guy? These guys will get big, and then they just kind of float over the water, and they'll just fly right over the water, and then they'll drop down, and then they touch the water, and they kind of bounce on it, and then they fly back up, and they get their drink, and then they fly back down and touch it, bounce back up. And it's cool because you watch those bass, they'll just be sitting there. As soon as that mayfly comes and drops down, you get a lot of jumping fish. Actually, I'm surprised. The last time I was out here, there were a lot of fish jumping. I'm not hearing any fish jump right now. Maybe it's because it's a little more windy. But I wish I could show you how beautiful it is out here. It's kind of dark. It's just stars for days. Got my little setup. Just can't see much when it's dark. We'll have to come out here and do a daytime catfishing Q&A one of these days, and more people are available to ask questions. Alright, I'm going to ask you all to do me a favor. I'm going to have to walk over to that porta potty and relieve myself real quick. Keep an eye on those bells for me. When those bells start shaking, and I guess you can't really yell for me, but hey, enjoy it. Alright, well, I guess I didn't get anything yet. I might give about 5 more minutes. See if someone grabs one of these. I know something was playing with that one, so may have got my bait off there. But yeah, I plan to have a couple more of these Q&As lakeside like this. I'd like to be able to answer some more questions for people, and the next one I do, I'll try to plan it with at least 2 weeks in advance, and I'll promote it and see if I can get more people watching and asking. Come on, fish. Alright, let's get these lines rebaited. Man, now I'm starting to hear them fish jump. It's about that time. I'm telling you, the magic hour is like between 12 and 1. Usually 10:30, 11 is pretty good. I think that's when I got that first one too. fish right there. All right. Hey, little spider, until you get on my line. Ain't no spiders allowed at this party. Where do you think you're going? Got the bait on there too. No fish over that way. Let's do somewhere else. No bait on this one. Alright. I see a fish over that way. Back in that same spot. Alright. Get you in the right spot this time. About right out there. I like that spot. That's a good spot to me. Alright, got that guy back in the water. That guy needs to be rebaited. Before I pull this one out. Dang, I'm sad about that one. He definitely was getting a bite there too. Guess he just either he got the bait off or so he found something better somewhere else. So I used to come out here fishing all the time. I'd be out here like 2-3 days a week, just 10 to 12 after work. And how I relax, I like to fish. And normally, if I wasn't live streaming with you guys, I'd be watching Netflix out here. It's pretty relaxing. Just chill, watch some Netflix, catch some fish. It's good stuff. It's my paradise. what I'd love to do, become your representative. I would love to spend some nights out with my constituents, just lines in the water, talking about your issues, figure out what you need, what you want, how I can work for you. That's what I think a representative should do. Should be out with their constituents. How can you find out what people want if you're not talking to them? Okay, that one's a lot more to the left. Should be a pretty good spot too, hopefully. We shall see. So I'm just taking the slack out a little bit. That down here. Oh, there we go. That's the end of the slack. It's kind of nice and taut. Pull that little bell up. We're just going to wait for that bell. Come up. Once that touches right here on the pole, so you can set that hook. Alright, let's check this guy now. I'm guessing there's probably no bait left on this one. We did have some pretty good bites on it. Let's see. Yep, just the leaf. Yeah, so whatever was playing with this, took that bait off there. It's okay. We'll get some more bait on it and put it back in that same spot. So obviously he likes it. Alright, I'm gonna get at least one more of those little guys. One more of those little guys, a nice big blue would be perfect. Right like that. Oh, it's so perfect. So, you see that? Let's get some light on it. There it is. You can kind of see that top of the hook comes right out there. Little circle. So I just put that swivel right through. Me and my buddy, we'd have a few more lines out, and we would just take and put like 6 of these treble hooks out, get them all baited, have the treble hooks just sitting like that, and then when we check our line, just pull it in real quick, open the swivel, swap it, swivel back up, throw it out real fast. It's good to do on the downtime, makes it go by faster, but I'm not quite doing that tonight. Just doing them one by one. So I'm trying not to change them too often so I can spend more time with you guys. see. All right. Got those guys all back up. All 3 lines are set. I didn't have to put any new bait on my spring-loaded line here. It already had some livers stuck on it still. Yeah, maybe I should have switched it anyways. But, oh well. Still very good hook liver on there. Let's see here. Load those bells right there. Just kind of wait for those bells to go. I think that last one got that bite pretty quick after I switched bait too, so let's see. So far we've had a bite on the white one, caught one with the middle one, nothing on the spring loaded yet. That's the most fun because you're just not expecting it and just like, oh, got a fish. That one's not forgiving either. I've even got turtles with that one. Sometimes them damn turtles, they'll just come out here and they'll just eat your liver off your hook and just eat your liver, just eat your liver, just eat your liver. You're like pulling it in, just get these little bites. Those just kind of go like this, but not enough really to get you to know that, you know, a fish got it, you got to set it. So that one right there, if they try to do that with this, that thing goes, got a turtle. But you just let them go. Some people eat turtle. I don't eat turtle. I don't even really like to eat artichoke hearts because it's so much work to get to the middle. I don't think I could do turtle prep. Come on, let's see some action. I think I've already covered most of the stuff on my platform. Single payer healthcare, student debt. Oh, I haven't really talked about student debt at all. You know, student debt's a really big issue right now. And, you know, oh, that's a big old spider. Oh, he just got a bug. Oh my, whoa. Wow. It's crazy. I don't know if you can see him. There he is. That spider right there, I just watched him walk up to a bug and just pick it up. He just grabbed it. He's eating it right now. I might let him hang out by the light, eat some of these little bugs flying around bothering me. It's not really bothering me, but hey, he's spider, he's easy too. That was pretty cool though, because he was just like crawling around, just grabbed it. But student debt, oh my gosh. So a lot of what's going on right now, what people are talking about is like, you know, a tuition-free college. And I do think that higher education should be free, but not everybody does. You know, a lot of people don't want to pay for it, although Bernie Sanders has already come up with a way to pay for free 4-year universities for every American child. It's very simple. 1% speculation tax on Wall Street, a currently untaxed investment opportunity. Oh, so that spider, he grabbed his bug, he just left. He's like, okay, I got my meal, I'm done. But a 1% tax on an untaxed investment gain right now could pay for school for every student in America, which is pretty awesome. But, you know, there's always that compromise word. And, you know, everyone always wants compromise. I think a pretty decent compromise that could get both sides together on this issue would be doing like, you know, free community college for your first 2 years tuition. You know, 2-year associate's degrees. If we could do free community college, and then for 4-year universities, if we could cap, well, man, not even cap, but the federal student loans, I don't think should have interest. And in my opinion, in my experience, I think it would greatly benefit our society if banks made a little less money on students. You know, there's no reason to be profiting from our children wanting to better themselves and society. If we got rid of interest rates on federally funded student loans, I think that would be a really big step forward. So if we eliminated through the speculation tax, and so fucking make, sorry, excuse my language, so make it a 0.5% tax on Wall Street speculation and use that to pay for free community college for, what, got a Mayfly. So, community college, tuition free, right there, simple. And then for people wanting to pursue their bachelor's in their postgraduate schools, remove interest rates from student loans. I don't think that's a crazy idea at all. I think that would really help. Now, not everybody wants to go to college, so not everybody's going to agree with that, which I understand. College isn't really for everybody, but it should be an option for those that want to do it. You know, if you want to add that other 0.5% speculation tax, so go do a 1% speculation tax, half of it goes towards free community colleges for 2-year degrees. The other half can go to vocational schools and trade schools. Make trade schools free. If someone wants to be a welder, put them in welding school. If they don't want to go get an associate's in, applied science or a bachelor's in computer science or electrical engineering or whatever, okay, well, help them go to a vocational school and learn a trade. If we can get more skilled workers, our society will flourish. I mean, we're really just holding ourselves back because greed. That's all it is. It's greed. And it's not even people's greed. It's banks' greed, It's financial institutions that are holding us back. And you know why financial institutions are able to do this? Because they lobby millions of dollars into legislators' pockets. I mean, it's super crazy. But yeah, that's my take on student debt and free college. I think relieving student loan debt altogether, I don't know how responsible that would be. Because some people take out the max student loans every semester, You can't just go take out the maximum student loans and then, just have all that money come from nowhere, not have to pay it back. But we could definitely get rid of all of the interest payments on these student loans, because that's what happens is the interest, compounds, and then people are stuck paying the interest on their loans for the rest of their lives, or for at least 10 or 15 or 20 or more years. So getting rid of student loan interest would really help. That was a tasty mayfly. And what else? Tax enforcement of the wealthy and corporations. Yeah, we need to close the tax loopholes for sure. I don't understand why working class Americans are paying 20 to 35% in taxes while billionaires are paying $0 in taxes. You can't see my zero because of the light. There we go. $0. A lot of billionaires don't pay taxes. Donald Trump doesn't pay taxes. Why won't Donald Trump show his tax return? Because he doesn't pay taxes. It's pretty simple stuff. We just need to close loopholes that have been created to allow people not to pay taxes. We need to fix this tax cut that just went into place that allows millionaires with private jets to write off jet fuel to go play golf across the country with their buddies to talk about business for 10 minutes and call it a business trip, write off all their fuel, when we have teachers making $36,000 a year who, their school couldn't afford paper, so they spend money out of their own pocket in paper, and They can't even write off that paper. They can't write off school supplies anymore. Why are millionaires writing off jet fuel while teachers are not able to write off school supplies? I mean, blows my mind. I can't believe any of this legislation that's passed. I would say I don't understand, but I do understand. It's all about money and legislators taking money in exchange for favors. You know, that's all it is. But I can't believe it's happening, I guess. I don't know why it's happening. Oh, not anymore. So, let's see. Oh, maybe she's talking about writing off jet fuel and business expenses. But you'll notice that a lot of wealthier people, they all own their own LLC so that they can use that to write off money. And it's legal. And it saves them money in taxes. But that's just another loophole that should be closed. Man, I was just thinking about something else I didn't talk about also. Oh, yeah. Policing in America. Oh, man. So, I think we really need to revamp our law enforcement system that we have going on. And a few ways that we can fix the law enforcement issues that we're facing today is to raise police pay, number one. Our law enforcement officers in Arkansas make an average, I think it's like $36,500 a year is what it pays to be a cop in Arkansas, on average. And these are the people that protect us. These are the people that enforce law, that, you know, that keep law and order. It's one of the most important positions in America is to be a police officer. And it's such an important position with such low requirements. You know, you can get a GED, go to police academy for a couple months, they give you a badge and a gun, and boom, you're a cop. Super crazy. You know, and I think if we were to raise the requirements to be a police officer to maybe a minimum of a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, I think a law enforcement officer should know the law better than the people that they are enforcing it against. And I find that it's normally the opposite of that. Normally officers don't know the law. Oh, I guess I can't say that. Sometimes officers don't know the law they're trying to enforce and do it wrong. Oh man, that spider's back and you just got another bug. Oh man. So if we raise the education requirements for police, I think we'll get a lot more skilled police officers. And in turn, we also need to raise police salaries. You know, we need people that are, you know, if they're going to go put their life on the line to protect us, they need to be making more than $36,000 a year, plain and simple. If we're going to require them to have a degree, they need to be making more than $36,000 a year. Raise police salary, raise the education required so that we have more knowledgeable police, and watch how fast we start to solve these problems that we've been facing. You know, we'll get better, we'll have a better system, I believe. That's for sure. Man, still waiting on a bite. Oh, that's my wife texting me. Let me make sure she's not like telling me to come home or anything. It's getting late. Okay. Yeah, she wants me to end it at 12 and come home, but let's see. It's 11:51. I'm gonna stay out here a little bit longer. Should be okay. Want to catch another fish. It's a lot of effort to clean a catfish. If I just clean one catfish, it's a lot of effort for not even a meal. I need 2 catfish, 3 catfish, or that little guy and then a nice big blue. That would be pretty good. But it's just about that magic hour to catch some too. Got that other guy in the water over there. see. Oh man, what else can we talk about? So I mentioned climate change a little bit earlier. Climate change is a really big issue that we are facing. Um, you know, the fossil fuel industry can lobby hundreds of billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars all they want into people in media's pockets so that they don't talk about it, but it doesn't change the fact that it's happening. We're seeing it all the time. That's why we've had tornadoes touch ground for the last 14 days in a row. That's why we're having historic flooding all throughout the world. Here in the northern hemisphere, we actually don't see the effects of climate change as drastically as some other places, like in India, where it was 35 degrees, and people were literally dying in the streets from heat exhaustion. Crazy stuff. They don't talk about that here, of course, but I suggest on Netflix, there's a series called Our Planet, and Our Planet is really good. It really helps understand the effects of climate change and the different effects people are having, on our planet. I mean, Earth is our home. This is our planet, the only inhabitable planet we've ever come across. We don't have anywhere to go if something happens to our home. Yeah, they're trying to get us out on the moon and to Mars and whatever, that stuff like that, but that's not the same. This is our planet. We better start taking care of it if we want to stay here. We're actually already in the middle of the 6th great extinction of our planet. We're losing species every day, and we're going to lose 70% of all species on the planet within the next 50 years. I mean, this is all science, this is all proven. It's not just talk. And a lot of people don't understand that. We've already lost, to this day, 50% of all coral reefs on the planet are now bleached. What that means, so you have a coral reef, and the ocean temperature rises 1 degree, and now these reefs start to die. And once the reef starts to die, all of the life there is gone. It leaves, and now you have a white bleached reef with no life. Coral reefs hold 25% of all ocean life. 25%. And we've already lost 50% of them. These are really big issues that people don't talk about enough. Climate change is real, and if we don't address it, it's not us that are going to pay for it. We're going to see it before we die, but it's our children and it's our grandchildren that are really going to be paying the price for what we have done to our planet. Come on, fish. And I did work in the oil field for a couple years when I was younger. I've seen what the oil field does to the planet. It's pretty terrible. I've seen oil companies spill oil into the water and not report it because they don't want to get in trouble. I mean, it's crazy. You guys wouldn't believe how many oil wells there are out there. There are a lot of oil wells out there. I could take a crew boat ride 10 hours into the middle of the Gulf of Mexico and be on an oil rig looking out at, 1 o'clock in the morning, standing up top, and be like, oil rig, oil rig, oil rig, oil rig. You just see lights everywhere. There's so many oil rigs out there. People don't realize. And they're not about safety. I mean, they're about safety, but they're not about environmental safety. Actually, they take safety very seriously on oil rigs. But environmental safety, not so much. They try to adhere to OSHA's rules and regulations. But a lot of times, if there's an accident, they don't want to get in trouble because there's big fines. So they'll hide it. They'll pretend it didn't happen. They'll try to clean it up. But it's not good enough a lot of times. So we really need to start taking care of our planet. I do suggest Our Planet. Great series. Really wake you up. Another thing I would suggest is I listened to an audiobook recently called Invisible Hands. Um, it's a book about the rise of conservatism from basically World War I until Reagan, and it explains how conservatism started, um, how it spread, and why it is what it is today. And eye-opening book, Invisible Hands. You should all check it out. It's Kim Philip Fields or something like that. I don't remember. But if you have any conservative family members, conservative friends, I suggest you open their eyes to that book and watch them change. Watch them start to understand what's really going on, who's backing who finances who, why things spread. You ever heard of the Round Table? The Round Table is a group that gets together once a year. It is a group of Fortune 500 CEOs, and they come together and, have whatever meeting they have. A lot of times it's about politics, what laws they need to push, what legislators they need to put pressure on or, replace. Lots of things like that. But yeah, I suggest Invisible Hands. It's really good. Another good one I read recently was On Tyranny. There are a lot of good books out there. Come on, fish. Oh, I'm getting text messages. It's past 12. Let me see here. To get just a little bit more time fishing. I would love to catch one more. One more would be nice. Any questions? Man, who's on here? Let's see here. Man, I was really hoping to get more questions. Trying to let you see those bells right there. Beautiful night though. It's not cold, not really windy. I was a little worried there for a bit. It looked like that storm with the tornado went a little more east and didn't head this way. I see my bell's kind of moving just a little bit. I feel like something's just tapping it around. Keep a good eye on it. Be ready to set that hook when I need to. But I hear fish jumping. think I'm going to go ahead and rebait the one that's spring loaded there. When I pulled it in last time, that bait was still on it, and just kind of cast it back out. But put some nice stinky bait on it. Still there. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna lob this one way out there. See if I can get some deeper water because this is so shallow. This time. It is usually a lot deeper in this. Some fresh stuff on it. Yeah, if I don't get another fish, I might just let that one go. It's almost not even worth it to do that whole process just for one little guy. He's not very little, but not enough for a meal. Those little flatheads, you really need 2 of them for the size that they are out here. Because these are all stocked fish. Well, most of them are anyways. They're stocked every year. Good. Alright, let's get this one way out there this time. Oh, I wish. There we go. It's pretty good actually. It was really far out there. Maybe get a shot. Call this here soon. That one's pretty deep. Hopefully we'll get a big one.
see. Go away, spider. Get off of there. Alright. Come on, bells. Let's hear some ringing bells. I'll probably do this. Still see those bells? A little bit. Watch. Ah, there it is. Boom. Look at that. There we go. Come on, fish.
It's going to be at 12:30. 12:30 is when these fish are going to start biting. At 12:30 to 1. That should be when I catch my last fish.
dropping down and picking it up and dropping it. Oh. Come on, grab that bad boy and pull it. Just teasing me. Just teasing me. Oh man. That's what they'll do though. I'll just hit it a little bit. They'll come back. Come on, fish. Dang, got excited there for a second. Thought I was gonna get my second one.
No more questions, huh? No more people. I guess it is starting to get late. Fall asleep. Oh, I should be, but I'm fishing instead. Keeps tapping that one on the left there. Guess I can close up this live stream. Let's see what time it is. About 12:23 or so. But I'm gonna stay out here either way. So I get one more fish. 1 o'clock. Let's see. Check my messages. My battery's still full. Hasn't even gone down. It's a good charger. A good battery. Come on, fish. Let's get one more.
check this one. I was getting those little bites. Might have got that bait off there. Some big walk through the woods over here. I'm gonna go find out what it is real quick. Water's so shallow now. Damn, what is over there? It's not a bear or mountain lion. Alright, fish. Alright, I'm gonna check that one over there. I think whatever gave me that bite got my bait. my bait. Drag me in some leaves. All right. Shit, that's too bad. This little class got pushed down too much. Not a terribly hard fix. Just get that knife up in there. A lot easier with a flight knife. A lot easier without trouble on it. No, not on these two though. No, I'm just kidding.
There we go. Alright. And that was a good piece of liver too. It's too bad. There we go. So it's equally as good. Actually, maybe even better. There we go. This guy back in water. It's hard because the water is more shallow than normal. Well, at least what I'm used to. I don't know where my sweet spots are. There's a professional bait eating catfish out there, eating on my bait. Still got bait on it. All right. Back to the waiting game.
Derek. Oh, missed you, buddy. Dang.
Alright, let's see if we can get one more catfish before I call this. Just heard a fish jump where I casted this black line. Oh, cool fish. Well, let's see what time it is. About 12:45. I guess I can keep on another 15 minutes. Yeah, nice 4-hour live stream. Only one fish in 4 hours. I was able to talk enough about policy to make it worth you guys' time. If I don't get another one here in 15 minutes, I'll go ahead and let that first one I caught go. That's what I like about stringers is He's just chilling in the water over there. But I'll leave him for next time when I get more. Hopefully nothing's even biting this one here. Guess I did cast it out quite a ways. If anything bites it, it'll be a big one. Hayden Barnes. But yeah, we'll definitely do this again, probably in a couple weeks. And I'll just promote it better. I'll give Facebook and Twitter a little bit of money, get this promoted so more people can see it. If I can have a little bit more participation, then I can do some more talking, more answering questions. But I think I cover most of current policy issues. $15 minimum wage. That's something I haven't talked about, you know. We definitely need employees to be making a livable wage, that's for sure. A single mother shouldn't have to work 50 hours a week to not even be able to afford a one-bedroom apartment. That's just crazy. But that's the world we live in. Come on, fish. It's time. A little dark. Hey, Justin. Yeah, it's a little dark. This or this way might help a little bit. I was just trying to keep it over on the bells so you guys could watch with anticipation for those bells to move. But got one catfish tonight, hoping for a second one here before I end my live stream. Right. Got a couple bites, just little teasers, taking my bait. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I got about 8 more minutes. All right. Yeah, I got a little flathead, but I mean, honestly, he's just a little too small for a full meal. I would need one more his size to get a meal out of him. So if I can't get one more, I'll probably just end up letting him go. Usually a flathead's here, about this big. You can get some blues, I mean, some nice sized blue cats out of here. Yeah, crawdads around here, I guess that's going to be more like February, March. Easy to find them. People will bring them up from Louisiana, bring them up here. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, they got perch. They've actually got some pretty big, like, some pretty big red-eared ones. But to get the good ones, you gotta hop in, like, a little boat. I just would rather shore fish. I like to fish to relax, to chill out, and kind of de-stress. So catfishing's perfect for me, because I can just sit out here and relax, listen to the frogs and the crickets, just kind of hang out. Huh. Alright. Heck yeah. Yeah, Louisiana ones, they just do them in season, and they have, they look like big rice fields. They have big giant crawfish fields. And then you can actually pick them up, I think it's like $20 for like a 50-pound bag back when I lived in Louisiana. Just got big bags of crawfish, super cheap, still alive. Let's see here. Come on, fish. One more. Then I can go home and spend an hour cleaning them. But I'm starting to hear them be a little more active. Oh, man. Yeah, I miss those crawfish boils down there. It's crazy, though. What a commodity, man. Fly them all the way across the country to sell them. There we go. Told them
Oh man, that's pretty awesome, dude. What a small world. Yeah, I like Pea Ridge. Pea Ridge is pretty cool. It was a nice place to live. I don't know. I just like Bella Vista better because I like the forest, so I'm all up in the woods and. Can't tell if he's on there. Nope, that's too bad. Wasn't paying attention and missed my set. That's too bad. I'll get you though. You see that bell come up? Boop! I was too slow, I wasn't paying attention. Took my eye off it for 1 second, that's all it takes. More stink bait ready? No, I don't. Dang, that was probably a good one too. It's too bad. Too bad. They're definitely out there though. They're starting to bite. Try and put this back in that same place. Cool, I think that's pretty close to right where it was. Dang, that was a good bite. I'm paying attention. All right. Dang, that's too bad. Oh, let's see here. Dang. Oh, this one's already getting a bite already? Okay. Must be that same fish. fresh bait. I guess I'll put fresh bait on this last one here. The last time I put some fresh bait on before I head out. Hey, you! Man, there are a lot of deer out here. So I hope they're deer. Oh, where's this piece been all night? So saving the best piece for last. Oh, armadillo. Dang, guy. You're one loud critter. You hear all that? That's an armadillo. This is the loudest armadillo ever. It's crazy. That'll be the last time I bait up. If I get lucky, I decide to let this guy go. All right. Bites yet, but I'm about to go ahead and end this up. will get cleaned up while we leave those in the water. Some of this stuff back in the car. I'll get lucky and catch one while I'm cleaning up. It's happened more than once. Over to a garbage can. Just see. Pretty much all cleaned up now. Finish up once I get it. I guess that's that. Might go ahead and let this little fish that I caught go, since I don't really have enough to make a meal. No reason to take his life. He'll just get bigger for next time I come back. Actually, probably won't get any bigger, but at least he'll be here when I get another one. So let me get these lines in the water. I would hate to let him go, and then, of course, as soon as I set him in that water, these lines are gonna go crazy. I'll show you. Check this out, Justin. So this here this little contraption is a hook setter, spring loaded. I didn't get to show you guys today because nothing bit this line, but check this out. I love it. Alright, one down, two to go. Looks like someone got the liver off of this one.